Welcome back everyone, this is MandoAllDay, back with another video, and in this video, I'll be doing an overview of the 3-pack gold label Amazon exclusive. This is going to be Clayface, Batman, and finally Batwoman. This is going to be from the DC Rebirth era. As always, I'll be talking about the figures itself in terms of the articulation, sculpture, and paint, and if it's worth your purchase or not. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button to not only support the channel, but to keep up to date and watch videos like this. So let's take a look at front of the box, which is pretty much blank, which I don't like this because I'll actually hack seeing the actual figures inside, but it's all good. The side, the back of the box, the other side, which is pretty much blank, right, as you can see, top and bottom. Alright, and that's going to be the box, but when you actually take it out the box, it's going to look something like this. So you got here Batman, Batwoman, and of course Clayface in the back. And with that said, well, let's take a look at the figures outside the box. Unfortunately, this 3-pack does not come with any cards, nor does not come with any puck stands, so what you see is what you get. But you do get some accessories. Here we have a Batarang. Clean, plain looking. Just got that black and brownish, light brown paint. You have another Batarang. So the first one was for the Batwoman. This is going to be for Batman. Some kind of color palette, black, a little bit of brown. Pretty cool. You got 2 grappling guns. This is going to be for Batman. Not much to it. Pretty simple. Plain looking. And we have another grappling gun. This is going to be for, most likely, Batwoman. There you go. And that's pretty much it. So we'll start off with the articulation with Clayface. So it does not go left to right, but it does swivel, just mine's a little stiff right now. But it does articulate on the mouth, so you can have it open or closed. Shoulder articulation. There is no bicep, but there is elbows, which is a little stiff, but there's some, not a whole lot. And of course, there's going to be, if I can do it, it's a little stiff right now. There you go. There you go. There is some wrist. Ooh, this is a little stiff articulation. Not a whole lot, but there's some. And in terms of torso, there is some torso. Not a whole lot of articulation on torso. And of course, swivel. There's some, but not a whole lot. And so, you know what? Do the legs as well, too. Leg articulation. Knees, there is some, but it's just a little stiff right now. And that's pretty much it. So the articulation of this figure is not the greatest. A bit limited, but it's, for a figure like this, I think it's fine. It could be better, but it's fine. Now let's talk about this figure, because this figure is, well, a lot of people make fun of this figure because how he looks like. You know what? I agree, it is a weird looking figure, but honestly, it actually looks really darn good. First of all, look at the head sculpture design. It looks incredible. I mean, just so much detail. Look at that, the tongue, the teeth, all that paint just looks really, really nice. Ugly looking, yes, but this is Clayface. He never looks pretty, and here we have a Clayface, and it looks incredible. Again, so much detail. Just look at the lips on here, the sculpture design, the paint. You got that brown, a little bit of black on the shadowing. You got the light brown, and of course, for this particular figure, you have the orange brush look to it. You got more sculpture design here, more on that chest. Look at all that. Look at all the skulls on there. Not skulls, but you get what I'm saying. Then you have here the spikes on the back. And again, just look at all of this detail. Now, I know a lot of people make fun of this figure because of the look of it. They call it the poop Clayface. But you know what? You got to judge a figure for the sculpture design. And I got to say, McFarlane did a really good job. Just look at all that detail. Look at all of that detail. That looks incredible. Look at that teeth on here, that mouth. So much sculpture design on this figure. Then you have here the arms. Again, just more sculpture design. Look at that spikes on here. Just looks incredible. And yes, it does look kind of like poop. But this is Clayface, how he looks like, and I gotta say, McFarlane did a really good job with Clayface. I know it's a weird looking Clayface, but this is kind of how he looks like. And again, it looks incredible. Just look at all of that detail. Just look at that. And then on the other side, look at this. All this face right here. Just looks really nice. You got the brown, the light brown. You got a little bit of the orange accent colors, which I'll talk about in a bit. I'm going to do a comparison to the other figure, but just look at all of that detail. Again, this is just the upper body, and it looks incredible, all that detail. There is a downside. There's two parts to it that I kind of like. Well, technically three, but let's talk about it. One, when you have it raised up like this, the shoulders, this portion right here, you can see here, very plain looking, and it's a bit of a downside, because if you have it like this, right here, you can see that, just plain looking, and it kind of defeats the purpose. It kind of ruins the effect of this figure. Another problem, it's going to be, well, I kind of don't want to show it, because once you see it, you're going to be like, oh, man. So, I'll just say it right now, screw it. So from the front view, it looks incredible, right? Look at that pose. The detail looks really, really nice and menacing. But here's the problem, though. And I hope that McFarlane fixed it, but he didn't. You ready? You've been warned. The gap right there. Look at that gap. That is pretty darn bad. When you have it like this, it's fine. You got a small gap. It's okay. But when you have it open like this, that gap looks pretty bad. This side is not as bad. Look at that gap right there, but Jesus. Look at this gap right here. I'm hoping it's just my figure that looks like this, but if it's all the figures like this, just be careful. If you pose it a certain way and you look at it from the side, it's going to look bad. Another issue that I have with this particular figure is going to be the upper body. It has that hollow feel to it. Similar to the Justice Buster, to where it feels hollow. Very detailed, but it feels hollow. Same thing here. Look, I'm going to tap right here. Hear that? Do it again. It has this hollow feel to it, and I'm afraid that, like, if I drop it by accident, it's going to break. So keep that in mind. But I got to say, the upper body, again, looks incredible. So much detail on this figure. But again, those three little things, as I mentioned, that gap right here, articulation is a bit limited, the side right here, and of course the feeling of it. Leg detail, again, weird looking figure, yes, but it looks incredible. Just look at that. Look at all that detail. Oops, my camera can pick it up. There you go. Look at all that detail. Look at that mouth right there. And again, as much as people make fun of this figure, it looks really detailed, man. It looks incredible. Then again, this is Clayface. I'm bringing this up because a lot of people are saying, oh, it doesn't look like Clayface. Well, when he turns into a monster like this, he kind of looks like this. But I gotta say, overall, the figure looks incredible. Sculpture design, amazing. Paint, I like this version, which I'll talk about in a bit in terms of the paint. But in terms of the actual figure itself, I think it looks good. It's just certain parts where I'm kind of like, it couldn't improve though. But overall, I gotta say, I really, really like this Clayface, and man, I'm glad. I'm glad they made this one again with better paint. But overall, figure looks good. Now let's talk about Batman. So, head articulation, left, right, up, down. Shoulder articulation, bicep, elbow, and there is wrist, if I can figure out, there you go, there is wrist articulation, and we'll do torso as well, and of course swivel. So the upper body articulation, it's good overall for this particular Batman. Leg articulation, knees, ankles, and of course, if I can get it, toes as well too. So overall, the the articulation of this figure itself, it's good overall. Now let's talk about this figure. And I gotta say, this head sculpture looks really, really, really nice. Look at that head sculpture. It looks clean, plain looking, but it looks really intimidating. You got the grin on Batman, then you got the white eyes. You know me, white eyes, I'm a sucker for white eyes. You got the painted lips on there, you got the painted cheeks on there. It looks very nice. The Batman cowl, very clean, plain looking cowl. But it looks good. It looks very nice, very clean, very comic accurate. In terms of the upper body, it's a very clean looking Batman figure. You got a little bit of sculpture design there on like the bicep and shoulders. You got the nice shoulders on there, the muscles, bicep and tricep. You got the nice gauntlet on there. It looks really, really nice. The gauntlets actually has a matte black, but yet the fists are kind of glossy. Not a deal breaker, but something that I noticed. You got the Batman logo on there. I like it. I like that fact it's black with the yellow outline. It looks really nice. And also the fact that this base is like a gray color, it definitely pops and it stands out. Looks really, really nice. But unfortunately though, since the base color is bright, the yellow doesn't really shine a lot compared to the other one right there, which I'll compare it in a bit. But it still looks good though, don't get me wrong. It still looks good though. And here on the other hand, you got the gauntlets on there, you got that trigger hand, and over here you got the fist. You got the nice purple cape on the back, and of course the back is nice, clean looking cape for Batman. And so, overall, I gotta say, the upper body on this figure looks really nice. Very clean looking Batman. Simple, yes. But that's how he looks like, especially for the Rebirth Batman. So, I'm digging it, man. It looks very clean looking Batman. Utility belt, it's fine. It's a bit stylized. I don't like this version of the belt because it's just all one color. Wish it was like the other one, which again, I'll talk about in a bit or compare it in a bit. But still looks good though. It just, I don't like this version of it. In terms of the leg sculpture design, there really isn't too much. You got the thick thighs, you got the little Batman knee pads on there, which looks really nice. There are some sculpture design on the actual boots itself. Looks nice, clean looking. Got that sculpture design there in the boots. The feet don't have sculpture design. And it's a good, clean looking Batman. The cape is a bit stiff, and Batman does do some squats, as you can see. So overall, I gotta say, this version of Batman for the Rebirth, it looks good. Very clean, simple design Batman. And again, very comic accurate. And so to me, I like this one. It looks very nice. I can tell some people are not going to like this version, and rightfully so, because, well, when I do a comparison, you'll see what I mean though. But overall, I gotta say, this figure by itself, it looks nice. Very clean looking, and I dig it. I dig it. So, I'm loving it. Last but definitely not least, of course, we gotta talk about Batwoman. The one figure that we all bought this for, and the one figure that we've been wanting, and here she is, finally arrived in this 3-pack, which I'll talk about in a bit, about this 3-pack. So, start off with the articulation. Left, right, it's a little stiff, but it's fine. Up, oof. Down, oof. The hair is blocking the articulation of up, down, so keep that in mind. But left to right, it's fine. It's just a little stiff on mine. Shoulder articulation. Bicep. Oops, there we go. Elbows. Wrist. And we'll do torso. Very nice. And a twist as well, too. So the articulation of the upper body, it's good, but the head articulation is a bit of a downside because of the hair, as mentioned, or displayed, I should say. It does block right here, so it does intervene with the head articulation, but it's fine. Leg articulation. Knees. Ankles. And of course, boots as well. So the articulation of the lower body, it's good. And in terms of the articulation of the entire figure itself, it's fine, but the head articulation is a big problem. And I say this because, well, this is it. This is all you can get. Like, I kid you not. In terms of head articulation, down, that's all you get. And then up, that's it. In order for you to get her to face forward, you're going to have to bend her back like this. I kid you not. Look at that. But if you would stand straight, it kind of has that 45 angle down. So it's a bit unfortunate, but it is all good nonetheless. Now let's talk about the figure itself. And right away, I like this head sculpture design. One, the painted white eyes looks nice, very intimidating, creepy looking. You got the painted lips on there. You got the painted pale skin or white skin. Then you got the actual cowl itself. Looks really, really nice. I like the pointy ears. Then, of course, you get the very stylized hair. Very, very bright orange and red. And it looks good, though. It's very stylized. But as I mentioned regarding the articulation, the hair does intervene, and so you are limited regarding that. But I gotta say, the head sculpture design looks really, really nice. And so far, it's starting very well. It does have a pointy nose on there. You can see right there, a little bit of pointy the nose. So I gotta say, the head sculpture design looks nice, but the hair, it's kind of unfortunate. In terms of the upper body, it's a very clean looking sculpture design for Batwoman. Something that I noticed right now too is two different color. We got black here, matte. Then you have the bicep. It's kind of that glossy. Look at that leather look to it. Obviously not leather, but you get what I'm saying. You can see that right there perfectly, which is fine. Then you got the Batwoman gauntlets on there, which mine came really, really deformed. It's not a deal breaker for me, but it's there. And then the other side as well too. The gauntlets, same thing. You got that where the bicep belt, you got the nice like shiny leather, but then the shoulder piece is just that matte black. Then you got that Batwoman logo on there, which looks really nice. And something about this piece right here, it looks like it's like leather, but it's not. That makes sense. But it looks good though. She's definitely busty, so she does a lot of push-ups and bench press. I just made a joke. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get flagged down, but anyways though. So I gotta say, well, let's talk about the cape. The cape looks nice, very stylized to the right or to the left if you look from the front. But the cape, there's not much to it. But again, I like that stylized. I like how it's trimmed right here. Looks nice. Then the front side of it is just red on there. And again, it looks really cool to the left. And so overall, I gotta say, the upper body, it's a good looking, plain looking Batwoman figure. And I really like it. The only downside is going to be the hair, which I know I'm saying a lot about this because the articulation is a bit limited. Look at that. That's all you get. That's all you get. So you can't really have Batwoman facing forward unless you do that. But it's going to look weird having it like that. But when you have it straight, well, it just looks off. But apart from that, though, it is a good looking Batwoman figure. And so I'm really digging it. It looks really nice. But the hair, that's just me, though. Utility belt. Wow. Very nice. I like it. What I like about it, it's very separated. See that? Separated utility belt, and I like that. Very clean looking. There's some sculpture design on the belt. It looks nice, and this is also pointy as well too. Similar to her nose. Again, very stylized utility belt, and it looks good though. Very clean looking. But I noticed that the color on this is actually not red. This is more red. This is more like red, orange and red. This one, a little bit leaning towards like orange more than red. So you've been warned about that. Lower body detail and sculpture, similar to the upper body, to where the bicep portion right here is that leather look, and then the shoulder piece is just matte. Same thing here. The thigh matte, but yet right here it has that kind of leather look to it. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm referring to. It looks good though, very stylized, very stylized. Then you got the knee pads on there, which is kind of messy, and the boots are clean, plain looking boots on there. But the lower body, again, is a very clean, plain looking Batwoman figure. And of course, this is the one figure that we all want, and we did get it. And this 3-pack, which I'm going to talk about if it's actually worth it or not. But overall, though, I got to say, Batwoman, very good looking Batwoman. More comic accurate, I know, but it looks really good. And yes, finally we're getting Batwoman. So that means that maybe you get a spoiler or an orphan figure. We'll see. Of course, Huntress. But so far, McFarlane, if you're watching this, thank you, because we've been wanting Batwoman figure. Here she is. She's finally arrived. And I gotta say, McFarlane did a really good job with his Batwoman figure. I hope for maybe the second version or the leaked one, which I'll talk about in a bit, does have different hairstyle to where it can articulate the head more. But overall, Batwoman looks really nice. Simple, yes, but she looks good though overall. So of course, the main question is this really worth it? Should you go out and get this 3-pack? Yes and no. And I'll break it down like this. If you missed out on the first Batman Rebirth solo figure, and the Clayface Mega Fig, definitely get this one because this is worth 70 bucks. And so if you were to purchase each one for retail, so each figure is 20 bucks, that's 40. The Mega Fig is 40, so it's $80. This whole 3-pack is actually $70. And so for the price of $70, I think it's actually a good deal for you. Save yourself 10 bucks. But again, this is worth it purchasing if you missed out on the original Rebirth Batman and, of course, the original Clayface. If you have the original Clayface and Batman Rebirth, honestly, this is part of the video where I'm going to get a lot of hate. I don't really think it's actually worth it. And here's why. Because as much as I like the Batman figure and, of course, Clayface and Batwoman, Batman, this particular version of Batman, it's actually not as good compared to the previous one. There's less paint, especially on the belt, also on the face as well too, which I'll compare it in a bit. Also, Clayface, it looks nice, but that gap on the shoulder and just the feeling of it just really feels hollow. It's a bit of a letdown. I hope that maybe they improved it, but they didn't. The Batwoman figure, nice, great introduction to the DC Multiverse, but again, the hair just limits the articulation though. So to me, it's one of those, if you got the original ones, maybe wait for the Batman single release. And that's what I want to talk about too, because there's rumors of there's going to be a Batwoman solo figure. So if the rumors are true, again, if the rumors are true, then I personally would wait for that Batwoman solo figure. This 3-pack, it's cool, but it's mainly for those who missed out on the Batman Rebirth, the original, and Clayface. But it's not one of those go out and get right away. It's more of like, get them if you really will like them and you miss out on the original ones. If not, wait for a sale. Here we have Batman Rebirth. This is going to be the original one, the solo figure, and of course the new one from the Amazon exclusive one. Now, as I mentioned in the video, this one I like more compared to this one. One, look at the utility belt. Well, I'll say this right now. These are just repaint. This whole 3-pack is just a repaint. So this is just a repaint of this one. Same sculpture design as this one. Same articulation. Everything, just a repaint, essentially. But I prefer this one because, one, look at the belt. Looks cool, but when you have it painted black, it just stands more out more. Number 2, the head sculpture design, or not sculpture, but paint. This one's much better because this one has this kind of like scruffed up look, you can see. This one's clean, right? But look at this one, all scruffed up. You see that? Scruffed up. You got some little like browns, light browns on the face. It makes it look all scruffed up and like beat up. This one's like a very clean, just recently shaved Batman. It doesn't look bad, but just that scruff look on this one just looks better compared to this. Also, to the Batman logo on this one looks much better compared to this one because the base paint of this one's gray. This is like a dark gray, so that yellow outline definitely stands out. Apart from that, though, they're identical figures like I mentioned. Just going to be a repaint, and as I said, I prefer the original one, Rebirth, compared to this one. Here we have Batwoman next to Batgirl. Like I said, great addition to the DC Multiverse. It's not the greatest Batwoman, but so far for what we have, I like it, and I like where McFarlane's going with Batwoman. But here we have Batgirl next to Batwoman, and as you can tell, this particular Batgirl is taller than Batwoman, which is fine. Not a big deal or anything, but just something that I noticed. And in terms of the hair sculpture design, we're here. Nice stylized hair, right, on Batgirl. But there is some articulation, right? This one, stylized hair, but you don't get a lot. Like, this is it. That's it. So, I wanted to compare two different female figures. You got Batwoman next to Batgirl with stylized hair, but this one has more articulation. Here we have two comic accurate Batman figures. We have here the Nightfall Batman next to Rebirth Batman. They both have a base color of gray, and of course you can see here this is a lot brighter compared to this one. This one's still bright, but it's not as bright as this one. So if you have this particular Batman and you want to know how bright this one is, well, you can see here the Rebirth exclusive one is going to be more brighter in terms of the base gray. Both good looking figures, but of course if you were to ask me which one do I prefer, come on, definitely this Nightfall Batman. Here we have the two Clayface. This is going to be the 3-pack Clayface next to the regular one, or the original one, Clayface. And in terms of the sculpture design, they are identical. The big difference, as you can see, is going to be the paint. This one has just plain dark brown with a little bit of black paint. This newer one, it has a mixture of paint in terms of brown, light brown, and of course the orange accent around, as you can see right there, right there. So a little bit of the orange color paint. It's mainly going to be in a little bit of the arms. Anything in front of Clayface, if that makes sense. The back is just going to be very plain, just this color. But everything else in the front, you can see the difference in color. Again, the sculpture design is identical. The eyes are different. Paint, this is more orange. This has like a faded out yellowish kind of paint. Also, too, inside the mouth, this has more gloss to it. This has more matte, as you can see. This is like a more shinier inside. This one is not as much. The teeth paint are going to be different as well, too. Like I said, it's just a repaint of the original one. And yes, they both have that hollow feel in their upper body. And they both have this gap on the side as showed in the video. And as well here too. So there you go. It's just going to be a repaint. And so if you would ask me which one do I prefer, honestly, I prefer this one. It stands up more. The colors look much better. This one just looks very stale and boring and colorized. This one, definitely brighter, especially with the orange accents around, and it makes the figure pop more. You can see more sculpture design, especially here. Like this here stands out more here. It's present on here. You can see it, but it just blends in with everything else. You see what I mean? Like, look at it right here. Look at this. Look at this right here. Look at this. Right here. Little details like that make the figure pop more on this side compared to this one. So, there you go. The difference is just going to be the paint. And for scaling purposes, here we have the Mega Fig Bane next to the Amazon exclusive Bane. Again, just for reference in terms of the scaling wise. So, yes, he is a bit shorter. So, if you have Bane, yes, this figure is a bit shorter compared to Bane. So, there you go. And again, for scaling purposes, here we have Bane next to Batman, or behind Batman, and of course, Batwoman. And it reaches up to chest of Bane and a little bit shoulder. I mean, I'll just show you guys right here. So, that's Batman. And then for Batwoman, she is upper abdomen for Bane. So there you go for scaling purposes. Here we have all three figures next to each other. Of course, Clayface, Batman, and the one that we all want, or got this 3-pack, is going to be the Batwoman. Here we have all three of them. They look great together. Don't get me wrong. They look great together. But as I mentioned, I give it a thumbs up for the figures itself. Thumbs up. But for the price, once again, if you already have the original ones, maybe wait for a sale or wait for the solo figure for Batwoman. If you missed out on the original Batman and Clayface, well, to me, this is a really good deal. You get a better version of Clayface, not the better version of Batman, but you do get a Batwoman for $70. So, there's that. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with me on these figures? Do you plan on purchasing these figures? Leave it in the comment section below. As always, make sure you hit the subscribe button to not support the channel, but to keep up to date and watch videos like this. This includes an overview of the Amazon exclusive Gold Label 3-pack that includes Clayface, Batman, and Batwoman from the DC Rebirth era. And on to the next one.